like to call to order the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for February 28, 2018. Roll call.
President Zipfel.
Here.
Vice President Hughes.
Here.
Commissioner Andrus. Commissioner Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
I'd like to ask Vice President Larry Hughes if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. All right, is there a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda as listed and that's on the screen, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved and we can move forward. All right, consent items, just some housekeeping folks, first, folks. Is there a motion to move the consent items listed in your agenda into the record?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Rogers. Those consent items are the Board of Commissioners' regular meeting minutes of January 24, the Board of Commissioners' workshop meeting February 14, the Treasurer's report for the month of February, and bills payable. Paid bills in the amount of $80,163.23, and unpaid bills in the amount of $332,329.90. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of moving those into the record, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, those are moved into the record. Okay, citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments on agenda items, folks? Oh, all right, no one's run up to the podium, so we have two special items tonight. First is, I want to welcome and thank the Honorable Andrea Duffy for coming out tonight again. As she does regularly, she comes out and gives us an update on her court. Always very informative. Thank you, Your Honor, and the podium is yours.
Thank you for having me. One of the biggest announcements, I suppose, from my court is that with close to 8,000 cases a year, I have been officially named the busiest district court in Montgomery County. So I do thank the professionalism, the cooperation, and the courtesy of all of the Hatfield Township police officers and Chief Tierney, of course, for making this large volume manageable by the incredible, pleasant working relationship that we have, and productive one as well. We are also on the same page with, of course, the horrible opioid issue. And to that end, we, for most of you, I think, do know we have formed Drug Addiction Resource Alliance. That is an alliance of just about every entity that would be relevant to this issue. But certainly it was co-founded by not only myself, but also Hatfield Township Police Department, Montgomery Township Police Department, Greg Gifford, and we have as members the District Attorney's Office of Montgomery County, the Public Defender's Office of Montgomery County, all sorts of providers, inpatient and outpatient, and other support services. So we are really thrilled to announce that on March 17th at 2 o'clock, we will have our 5th DARA event. It's hard to believe, but we're already on our 5th. We began in 2016. And now it's all, okay. We began in 2016, and now our 5th event will be held at the Montgomery Township Municipal Building, and our guest keynote speaker is Attorney General Josh Shapiro. So we're very excited to have him there. We also have radio host Gary Hendler, who is in active recovery and has the Clean and Sober radio program every week. And we are very happy to also be giving away free Narcan and free Narcan training. So we're expecting this to be a very good crowd and wonderful speakers. So we hope to see you all, and I'm going to leave some flyers here just in case you can spread the word. I would clearly appreciate that and hope to see a lot of you there. That's about all I have to say. Thank you for having me.
If you're unfamiliar with the DARA program, it is, as the judge just mentioned, it is really battling opioid addiction, and it's a wonderful organization that's done fantastic things over the last few years. So in addition to being our district justice, we want to thank Judge Duffy for taking on that challenge. And so it touches so many different lives, and we greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And it really is a vital program because of the providers that we have are able to allow me to get people into inpatient treatment right from the bench. So they're not languishing either on the street or in prison. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. And we have seen a huge difference made in the lives of many people who have been through my court. So I'm thankful for anything anyone can do to share this event, and hopefully we can all in our community address this issue and really help one another. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Appreciate your coming out. All right, next, if she's daring enough to get up to the podium and challenge the microphones, is our tax collector, Tina Murphy. She's about to provide us an update. Thank you, Tina, for coming out as always.
Do I need the microphone?
No,
Can I just
you're good. We
stand
can hear you
back?
from there.
Yes, okay. Yes, my name is Tina Murphy. I am the tax collector for Hatfield Township. And I just wanted to give you an update as far as the tax bills have all been mailed. They were mailed earlier this month, and residents have until March 31st to take advantage of paying their tax bill in the discount. Taxes have not changed from last year. But our commissioners for the rates the same and not increasing taxes, which the residents are very pleased with this. The only change that I would like to note is that the check should be made payable to Hatfield Township tax collector as opposed to Christina Murphy tax collector. It is not a big issue. My bank will honor this for a while during this transition. I just thought this is the direction the state is going, and I was proactive and I changed it. Residents have any questions, please feel free to come, or to rather call my office or come to my office to discuss problems they have. We have at least 150 new residents that I'm sure I've spoken to some, but I'm telling any of them, please don't hesitate to come to my office. Thank you for your time.
Tina, thank you. While we're not all excited that the tax notices just went out, we are very thankful that you are responsible to collect those and such a great job taking care of them. So we appreciate it very much.
Very good.
And thank you for taking your time to come out and speak to us tonight.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, we have a number of action items. There's 8 on your agenda. We joked that maybe there's a 9th, a surprise one. I'm joking. I'm just fooling around. So the first one is a Resolution 1806. Is there a motion for approval of the land development data logic on Sterling Drive?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Rogers. Ken, I'm not sure which ones you have, but I think that typically this is your area.
I think I can take the first 4, and I'm completely lost once we get beyond that. The first resolution before you is 1806 for data logic. This is the 5-acre plus parcel of land on the west side of the bridge on Sterling Drive. We talked about it at the workshop meeting 2 weeks ago, and we have since then received the resolution prepared by Ms. Pianzio, itemizing all of the waivers and contributions. The applicant has agreed to all of the suggested waivers. Actually, they've requested the waivers, and they've agreed to all of the contributions by signing that resolution and returning it to us. The applicant's attorney, Joe Blackburn, is in the audience with his engineer, Tom Hanna, and representative from DataLogic, Chet Galco, all here to answer any questions you might have. Otherwise, the resolution is ready for action.
All right, any questions or comments? This was previously on our agenda, so we're familiar with the matter. So if there's no other questions or comments, I'll call a question. All in favor of Resolution 18-06, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Thank you for coming out, and appreciate your coming out in the prior meetings as well. All right, our second action item, Resolution 18-07. Is there a motion for approval of the minor land development on Country Time at 847 Bethlehem Pike?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers, second by Commissioner Thomas. Ken, 2 of 4.
Yes, thank you. This is the second of the land development resolutions before you this evening. Country Time is a company which is already located in Hatfield Township, and they are moving about a half-mile north to 847 Bethlehem Pike. It's approximately a 3-acre piece of property, which is currently improved. I'm not sure if improved is the right word. It's currently home to several rundown buildings which will be raised. One building will remain and will turn into the office for the company, and they will be putting a display of outdoor sheds along the frontage of Bethlehem Pike. They've received all the approvals necessary from the zoning hearing board, and we discussed this 2 weeks ago at the workshop meeting. I believe there was a consensus that the application was ready. Since then, we've received a signed resolution agreeing to all the terms of the approval, and Josh Gross, the engineer for the applicant, is here this evening if you have any questions.
And if I recall correctly, this is a win-win, given the fact that you're going to be cleaning up a property that somewhat right now is not the greatest looking, as gently put as I can put it. So, all right, any questions, comments, commissioners or residents? Hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor of Resolution 18-07, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Thank you very much for coming out. Action item number 3, Resolution 18-08. Is there a motion for approval of the minor subdivision, JW Acquisitions at 1311 Welsh Road?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers, second by Vice President Hughes. Ken, 3 of 4.
Yes. This is the third application this evening is an application for a 2-lot subdivision at the corner of Welsh Road and Clearview Street on the Welsh Road frontage, adjacent to, actually right on the township line. It's adjacent to Townsend Township. And the applicant received approval from the zoning hearing board, also went to our local planning commission, received the recommendation from the Hatfield Township Planning Commission, has returned to us a signed resolution of subdivision, and has agreed to pay all of the appropriate fees and comply with all of the requirements in the resolution. Jeff Seaman, who is one of the partners in JW Acquisitions, is here this evening. Again, if you have any questions, he's here to answer them.
Any questions or comments? Although I know we discussed this at some length at the workshop meeting. All right, hearing no questions or comments, I'll call a question. All in favor of Resolution 18-08, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Thank you very much for coming out. Last resolution for Ken, anyway. Resolution 18-09. Is there a motion for approval for the Route 309 Plaza revised resolution?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Thomas, second by Commissioner Rogers.
Thank you. And the final land development resolution is actually a modification of a previous approval granted by the board. The board had granted approval for an expansion of the 309 Plaza, and it is being revised, and this resolution will revise the previous approval to provide for a phased development of the expansion area. So this would be for phase 1 of the 309 expansion area, which will consist of all of the improvements along the frontage, all of the landscaping improvements, and all of the stormwater improvements, and construction of one pad site, which will be for a Wendy's fast food restaurant. Again, we have a copy of the signed resolution. Kirk Klaus, who represents the applicant, was not able to make it this evening, but he did deliver a signed resolution to the township building.
And for those who are interested, this was discussed at some length at previous meetings, and then the revised resolution was just recently discussed at our workshop meeting, which included a conversation as to what revisions, if any, would affect local neighbors in the area. So if there are any other questions or comments?
I think the only concern that was raised was that the property right next to it, that area would be graded and landscaped as soon as possible.
And when Brian and I were talking with the applicant and his engineer as the plan went through the process, we made it very clear that the improvements along that residential property line needed to be installed as part of phase 1 and as early in the process as possible.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none or hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of Resolution 18-09, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. All right. I think we're passing the baton off to Aaron Is that right?
Sir.
Okay.
I'm ready to run.
Next, Resolution 18-10. Is there a motion for approval with regard to the Walnut Street Bridge reimbursement agreement?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers. Second by, I think I heard Commissioner Thomas. Aaron, you're up to bat.
Thanks, Mr. President. Easiest motion that the board will ever consider. Walnut Street Bridge project is complete. This will approve an agreement that will bring the township a little over $1 million, as seen on the overhead there, to help us repay the loan that was taken out at the end of 13 going into 14, and will put us in a much better financial position there where we currently are.
Right, that's a pretty easy decision there. Any other questions or comments other than cheering, applause, or anything else? All right. Seeing and hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of Resolution 18-10, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Next is ordinance number 676. Is there a motion for approval for the HTMA ordinance amendment?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Rogers. Aaron, I think you've got this one as well.
This one's much less exciting, but I do want to point out one thing about the Walnut Street Bridge that I want just to make very clear to the residents watching or those visiting. This was, the $1 million reimbursement was not a guarantee. It's not something that every town gets. I mean, this is what I would consider more of a grant through PennDOT. So this bridge that had to be replaced, it was weight restricted. Buses couldn't go over it. Kids waiting for the school bus had to be relocated. So the township and obviously the commissioners made the right move of when the timing of this occurred, but it had to happen. So without the grant being received for $1 million, the taxpayers in the Hatfield Township would be repaying this bridge over the next 15 years. But we were able to be awarded this, and therefore we're given some relief here earlier. But I think it just needs to be pointed out because a bridge, you have to do it, you have to fix it. We're able to do it at 20% of the cost, where other towns are going to have to pay 100. On to the less exciting item that the board is considering now, the Ordinance 676. This is what I considered a housekeeping item, and I don't have a slide because anything sewer related I don't think you want to see on a PowerPoint. This is just adding a definition for what is considered a non-significant categorical industrial user. Definition exactly as the EPA is requiring all sewer authorities to have in its ordinance. So therefore, as the township, the commissioners have to vote to approve the ordinance to be put in place so that HTMA isn't compliant with the EPA standards.
Actually, I find the adjustment to that definition wildly exciting. And so I'm not sure how long our conversation is going to last on this ordinance. But, all right, seeing that I'm the only one who feels that way. Any questions or comments? I'll call the question. All in favor of ordinance number 676, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Okay, we're happy to have one here that is related to our Hatfield Township Police Department. There is a motion, there's an action item number 7, and I'm going to read the motion because we have the actual name of the future patrolman listed. Is there a motion to provide a conditional offer of employment to Philip Hagstotz as a patrolman based on the eligibility list certified by the Hatfield Township Civil Service Commission, conditioned upon successful completion of a psychological and physical examination?
Moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Rogers. Any questions or comments? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, Chief. We've discussed this at length. We were going to add an additional police officer after having, we're getting back up to the number that we anticipated that we would. Thank you very much to the Civil Service Commission for all they do. They've gone through the entire process, and they handed the baton off to us to make a decision. Chief, I'm not sure if you have any additions that you want to make.
Other than, as always, thank you very much. Appreciate the support.
Questions, comments from anyone else? All right.
One other comment, Mr. President, is that we will most likely have, the board obviously hired another officer a month ago. We'll have both of the new hires at the March 28th meeting for a ceremonial swearing-in ceremony.
All right, that's great. Seeing no other questions or comments, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Congratulations, Chief. We're happy to do that, and we are hitting the target of exactly what we anticipated and what we budgeted and prognosticated throughout the last year, so thank you. All right, last action item. This is a kind of a housekeeping. Whenever we have a capital purchase, we put it on our agenda. It's best practices effort. So is there a motion for approval of the budgeted items, capital purchases, which includes the pole barn of $23,900 and the DPW pickup truck in the amount of $37,971?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Rogers. Aaron, I'm not sure if there's anything we should or need to say about this.
That's it, Mr. President. All the invoices or the estimates are attached in the packet. If the residents want more details about these purchases, the pole barn was purchased through a CoStarz program, so it was bid through the state, and same with the pickup truck. I do believe it's a 500, but all the details are in the packet. It's added to our fleet. Again, we talked about these items at length at the budget process in the fall. This is just, like President Zipfel said, this is just good government housekeeping item, something that satisfies the auditor's requirements. That's it.
Great. All right. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. We're going to move right on to our manager's report. Aaron, I think you're up to bat again.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a project that has been discussed at length in Hatfield Township since 2005, and more so recently. We had one of the 3 residents of the homes that are slated to be acquired at the Cowpath or Villa intersection at our meeting recently, which we discussed, and I have just an aerial just to give us some context, although everyone here I know is familiar with this intersection. The bottom line about this intersection is that it's dangerous. Over the last 5 years, there's been 51 documented accidents and countless near misses, and the commissioners have been completely committed to correcting this and realigning this intersection. We've talked about it publicly. We've applied for grants. Unfortunately, the bad news, the most recent grant funding round from PennDOT, there was $240 million requested, and PennDOT granted $40 million. So it was an uphill battle, and the township was not listed among the 40. In the grant would have paid for the acquisition of 3 homes, as well as the total construction cost to realign to create an intersection that you see on the aerial. The commissioners have been put into an odd situation, obviously, since this has been discussed publicly since 2005. The 3 homeowners that you see here highlighted have been in an even worse situation in that they really can't sell their homes, they can't invest in their homes, and for years have been asking us for some type of relief from this situation. We've relied on the grants. We have a grant for $280,000 to design the intersection, which is why it looks like that. But without the grant funding for the construction, we were unable to move forward. However, the commissioners recently, after discussions with some of the homeowners, discussions amongst ourselves, the commissioners decided that we're going to move forward with acquiring the 3 homes using township funds, specifically funds from what we call we've talked about it often, our Act 209 Impact Fund, which taxpayers need to understand when listening to this meeting or reading about it in the paper. This is funded primarily by new construction, new development that comes through Hatfield Township. Each trip in the peak hours, which they consider 4 to 6, so the impact of those new trips generated creates a fee, which comes back to the township, which can only be spent on the projects identified in the township's Act 209 plan, which we have listed on our website. But this is our #1 goal in our 209 plan. These funds can go back to supporting improving transportation initiatives in Hatfield Township. So ultimately, that fund will pay for all 3 of these acquisitions. Currently, the fund is not, it does not have enough funds for all 3. So we are going to a contribution fund and some other dollars that we have allocated for situations like this, and then we will reimburse the township through the 209 fund in the coming years as more development occurs, if more development occurs. So in 2 weeks from now, at the March 14th meeting, the commissioners, at this point, 2 of the 3 homeowners are in a position to sell to the township. So in 2 weeks from tonight, the commissioners will have agreements of sale for 2 properties to approve. And then we will move forward with the settlement through the solicitor's office shortly thereafter. 2 of the 3 homeowners have already made offers on other homes, and they're moving forward because they've clearly been waiting for this situation for years. And we have to thank them for their cooperation over the past several years, and they've been great. I was with one of them today, was with one of them yesterday, going through all the logistics, and they've been fantastic. And obviously, this is life-changing for all three of them. And the commissioners made a right decision, and I've heard that now several times in talking to the homeowners, and they're all grateful for the leadership and the decision made by the commissioners. So in 2 weeks, 2 agreements of sale. The third homeowner is just figuring out, the next step. Obviously, they knew this was coming, and they're thrilled that it's finally here. But they're gonna need a little more time than the other two. So we'll deal with that as it comes. Obviously, the road's not going through anytime soon. We're going to apply for the next round of funding. We'll talk about it in the March meeting. The same grant that we were denied opens up again, and it expires at the end of March. So we will be submitting again for the outstanding balance of this project. And obviously, with the commissioner's commitment to now not only buy the gas station, but to acquire the 3 homes, I would imagine our application is going to move up the ladder there, or it should. And hopefully the next round we get the funding and we can actually realign this intersection and reduce one traffic signal, which would be great because we've certainly heard frustration of adding signals. We'll be able to take one out and improve a dangerous intersection. So that is where we are. 2 weeks we'll have more, but this is just a public notice to make everyone aware that we're moving forward with a plan that we have discussed now for almost 15 years, but we're finally making some serious progress thanks to the decisions by the commissioners.
Before you move on to the next item, I know we've publicly thanked the residents of these homes before, but I want to do it again. If any of you can imagine living in a home that has been stuck in, in limbo for the last 10 years or more, for the reasons that Aaron just described. So we have an opportunity to fix what is the worst intersection in all of Hatfield, and unfortunately they've been stuck in the middle of this. So we cannot thank them enough for their patience and actually their civility throughout the entire process. They understand that we were in a difficult spot trying to obtain grant money, and also that we were not in a position, especially years ago, to be able to do what we're moving forward to doing now. So their patience has been indescribable. So we want to thank them publicly. They've been wonderful people to work with, and we're a couple of steps not that far away from fixing all of this, and it's going to be quite an exciting thing when we finally do. So, so Aaron, I know you've thanked them, but we'll probably thank them again when they're here next week or next meeting.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. President. Thanks, Commissioners. The last item I don't have any slide for. Everyone is aware of the discussions we've had publicly for the past several years about the property on the 3515 Cowpath Road, commonly known as the Walters Farm. We've had a public hearing. We've had other follow-up discussions. We had the applicant was here in December, I do believe, asking for feedback from the commission. Microphone. We haven't had the applicant back at a public meeting since that, I want to say, December meeting when they came to get feedback from the commissioners. Commissioners offered some suggestions. It's my understanding that the applicant has had meetings with some of the neighbors, and they have asked to come back now and take the feedback that was given by the commissioners, given by the residents, and present an updated plan. So at that point, at the March 14th workshop, the applicant will be here. If there's an interest at that point, depending on how that meeting goes, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that there will be another than public hearing required, because the plan has changed since the first public hearing. Take it one meeting at a time, but this is just a heads up that the applicant requested to be on the agenda March 14th, and we'll be here in 2 weeks to present a new plan, and then we'll take it from there. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right. Nothing left on the agenda other than citizens' comments. Any other citizens' comments, agenda items or otherwise? All right, no one's running up to the podium, so then we will entertain a motion to adjourn tonight.
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Hughes, second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thanks for coming out, folks.